Today's reveals have given us a full package based around colorless Pokemon. A lot to be excited about from these early reveals from Stellar Miracle, the new Japanese set. It's been rumored for a long time, everyone knew it was coming, but now we finally get to see confirmation of what this Terapagos card is. The card is labeled as a new Stellar type, which functions the same way as a Terastal Pokemon. But this is a beautiful, big, basic Rainbow Turtle, 230 HP. Immediately, everyone has been making the comparison to Crystal type Pokemon back from E-Card, with the difference being that this Terapagos is actually playable, unlike all of those Crystal type cards. These translations are coming from PokeBeach, so thanks PokeBeach. For 2 colorless energy, Unified Beatdown. Does 30 damage for each of your benched Pokemon. This is a very powerful attack for 2 colorless energy, but if you go second, you can't use this attack during your first turn. So the designers do recognize how unfair this would be early game, especially with all of the ridiculously good support cards that we're going to be talking about in just a minute. Long story short, this attack is going to max out at 240 damage for 2 energy, and it's pretty easy to set up with the tools we're going to be given. For a Grass, a Water, and a Lightning energy, you can use Crown Opal, deals 180 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic, non-colorless Pokemon. So there is a lot that gets through this. All colorless Pokemon get through this, so Blood Moon Ursaluna is still going to be able to smack you. Evolved Pokemon get through this, so you're still going to be hit by Charizard and Dragapult. But for the time being, this is actually a really good card against decks that rely on V Pokemon, because they're all basic. So this is an attack that's not perfect. It's not the attack that you're going to build around, but it is an option to just deal 180 damage and get some limited protection on Terapagos. And this Ace spec right here is going to make that super simple to do. This is Sparkling Crystal. This is a tool card, and when you attach it to a Terra Pokemon, its attack cost is reduced by 1 of any type of energies. This is a rainbow energy with no drawback. It doesn't even count as an energy, so you can play this and an energy in the same turn, and you're essentially providing energy cost of 2. This is going to be an instant addition to any deck that uses Terra Pokemon, especially Dragon-type Pokemon that have those weird required attack costs. This makes Dragapult even more of a threat, and we anticipate getting Hydrapple and Archaludon, which this is surely going to help those as well. And that's not all, not even close. We have Crispin. This is a supporter card that allows you to search your deck for 2 basic energy cards of different types, reveal them, one goes to your hand, the other attached to one of your Pokemon. Another card that Dragon type decks are gonna love because it fixes the energy problem. You don't have to worry about drawing into those specific energy, especially if you already have Sparkling Crystal in pocket. In the context of Terapagos, you attach the Sparkling Crystal, which is going to reduce that energy cost by 1. You then play Crispin to attach one of the other energy straight from your deck, and then the third energy is going to go to your hand, and you can just attach that as your energy per turn, and there you go. That second attack is fully powered up with no restriction on using it on your second turn. Not enough for you? How about some stadium support? This here is Area 0 Underdepths. As long as you have a Terra Pokemon in play, you can have 8 Pokemon on your bench. A lot of players probably just had some Rayquaza Shaman flashbacks triggered. This is how you get maximum damage out of Unified Beatdown. So you can already see how this entire deck is already coming together. I do like that the individual pieces do kind of have drawbacks. With Terapagos, you can't use your Beatdown attack when you're going second. With the Ace spec, there's only 1 in your entire deck, so you kind of have to draw into it. Underdepths is great until your opponent plays a stadium over top of it, and then you have to discard a couple Pokemon. It's the type of push, pull, risk, reward I like to see in a Pokemon card engine. And I'm sure you've already been thinking, this deck seems great, but what 8 Pokemon am I gonna have on my bench? What actually goes in this deck besides Terapagos? Well, we've already got the answer to that too, at least partially. Terapagos may not be able to attack on your first turn if you're going second, but Rotom sure can, and for 70 damage for 1 colorless energy, which is going to knock out a ton of other support Pokemon that your opponent's going to be starting the game with. Starting the game with Rotom is going to give you a pretty high chance of getting a donk knockout on your opponent, your first turn attacking. And during your first turn, if you have this Rotom, you also get to use its ability Fan Call, which is a very powerful ability, and again we see that push-pull where yes, it's powerful, but you only get to use it during your first turn. And for this deck, Fan Rotom is the card you want to start with, because if you use Fan Call, you can search your deck for 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less, reveal them, and put them in your hand. Then, you can just play them onto your bench and you're halfway set up for a full power beatdown. This card is pretty hard to top for an opening Pokemon. What else is going to go on the bench? If you use Fan Call, what 3 colorless Pokemon are you looking for? Well, I think one of those is definitely going to be Hoot so that you can evolve it up into Noctowl. For 2 colorless energy, you can deal 60 damage, but that's not really going to be relevant. What we're looking for here is the ability Jewel Hunt. When you play Noctowl from your hand to evolve that Hoot, if you have any Terra Pokemon in play, you may search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, and then shuffle up. We know from previous seasons with Drizzile and Inteleon that evolving into a Pokemon and then searching your deck for the best card is a very powerful effect. Evolving up into this Noctowl and then going and grabbing whichever trainers are gonna fit your play situation the best is going to be amazing. And it's not just the one-time effect. Remember, if you're using Fan Call off of Rotom, you can go grab 3 Hoot and then evolve them into 3 different Noctowls and use Jewel Hunt 3 times, building momentum while also filling up your bench. This colorless deck is already building itself, because remember, we already have a lot of tools that are going to slot into this deck very easily, like Buddy Poffin, and the door is wide open for the types of Pokemon that you can pair up with Terapagos or with all of these other colorless pieces, because these aren't specific to the Terapagos deck. All of these pieces can go with whatever Terra Pokemon you want. It's just the race is on for someone to figure out what the most efficient and most hard-hitting combination is going to be. This has me very excited for what we have coming up in the Pokemon TCG. We're at that point in the Scarlet and Violet block where the metagame really starts to ramp up. We see this with every single block. We saw it with Black and White, X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and now we're finally getting to that point where sets are producing some amazing cards. I'm just trusting in the card designers to make decks more diverse and to try to prevent some of these archetypes from being too overbearing, like we saw with Lost Box and Mew VMAX. Also, look at these energy cards. I don't think enough people have been talking about these energies, because the Scarlet and Violet energies kind of look garbo, but I can kind of dig on these terastallized energies. But let me know what you guys think. Are you yay or nay on Terapagos? Do you think this is going to be its own archetype, or is it going to be left in the dust with everything else we're getting with these new Japanese sets? What other stellar types are you excited for? Are we going to get a stellar Shuckle? I know at this point I'd be happy with any solid bug representation, but I also like Hydrapple. Surely we have a good Hydrapple card coming. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I will see you next video.